We're getting billions of dollars for grid, which is like green resilient recovery post COVID.
Nijgadhको एक वर्षमा conversation. Sorry, I've been so out of it.
It's in a very tricky situation now. You know, the Supreme Court gave like a yes and a no kind of a thing. It did allow, it told government not
तराजु
to
बिचमै बस्यो.
go. Tarazu actually बिचमा भन्दा पनि actually airport बनाउनेतिर नै अलिकता ढल्क्या छ. It said don't do it as it is, but do it with a new study. And so the government has put together a committee for a new study, and that committee is filled with people who already had a clear bias for clearing out Nijgadh forest and building something there. So it's, you know, it's where it is. So my guess is election पछि चाहिँ this will probably speed up again. And so, you know, it's never been settled. It, for a very brief moment, it felt like victory when we got the first announcement saying Supreme Court le चाहिँ रोक्छ जस्तो छ भनेर. It was premature to celebrate it the way it was celebrated. किनभने त्यो लिखितमा आएपछि it was clear that government has a pathway to push if it wants to. But in any case, even before the Supreme Court gave the written decision, the Prime Minister had already hosted a big event in Nijgadh saying, regardless of the decision, we're going to make the airport here. So, you know, it kind of skews up things quite a bit, and we understand the intentions by that very act alone. So as far as I understand, there's a good chance we still will lose the forest. The airport will never come, but the trees will probably be sold.
What?
That's where all party alliance on this, all party, all business alliance is on board with this, you know, regardless of what experts, regardless of what we just saw in Pakistan, regardless of what we're seeing in China, in Europe with like flood, drought, wildfire, everything happening simultaneously, regardless of what we're seeing in Tarai right now with droughts and monsoon affecting plantation, regardless of any of that.
I need a new furniture, Kashish.
I know, Nijgadh is as much at risk today than it has been in the last 5 years. The level of risk for that forest hasn't gone down one single bit. So it pains me to say that. I'm still working with a few folks who are way above my pay grade, but because they are somehow interested in this issue, I've had the opportunity to brief them, so they are trying to address it from their level. We'll see where it goes. But what had happened between 2017 to 2021, which is सुरुमा गभर्मेन्टले एयरपोर्ट बनाउने भन्यो, त्यसपछि सिनियर कन्जर्भेसन एक्सपर्ट्सहरूले यो ब्याड आइडिया भन्यो, त्यसपछि यङ एक्टिभिस्टहरूले ब्याड आइडिया हुँदाखेरि पनि किन गर्नु खोजेको भन्यो, त्यसपछि मिडियाले सबै चिज बुझेर यो ब्याड आइडिया हो, प्रोटेस्ट हुँदैछ, त्यही पनि किन गर्नु खोजेको भन्यो, त्यसपछि कोर्ट केस लायो, कोर्टले यो ब्याड आइडिया हो, एक्टिभिस्टले पनि भन्छ, एक्सपर्टले पनि भन्छ, मिडियामा पनि भन्छ यो रोक्नुपर्छ भने. एभ्री लेभल अफ सिभिल सोसाइटी हेज ट्राइड टु स्टप दिस थिङ, and at every point the political alliance has basically said, we don't care what you got to say about this, you know. So अब चाहिँ नि मैले मेरो त्यो, you know, my campaign last year was still after like a lot of the other campaigns had already begun by young activists in Nepal, you know, like Hari Nepalहरू गरेर अनि अरू organizations गरेर. So my thing was that, because I was challenging DFID, USA, WWF and World Bank. Why are you letting this happen? You're giving us money for climate change, you're giving us money for saving forests, and we're taking your money and then you watch.
What do these humongous organizations say now? All the big ones.
They tried, right? And then after that campaign, for the first time, they published a joint statement. 9 international bodies in Nepal, ADB, World Bank, EU Commission, UK Embassy, I think the German Embassy, like a bunch of really, really big you know, development partners of Nepal put out a statement saying we are genuinely concerned by this Nijgadh issue and we hope the government addresses it. I've never seen something like that before, right? And then, so we all had hoped that would have some impact. And when the court early decision came, it felt like it had some impact. Then when the written statement came, and then the Prime Minister Deva immediately after that went to, you know, Nijgadh and said, we're going to go ahead with the project. Then it was like, oh my God, we're back to square one. So now in the last few months, managed to get in touch with someone way, way, way above pay grade of anyone else I've dealt with on this issue. So she is trying from abroad to make connections at a much, much higher level. So we'll see where that goes.
कति पैसा रहेछ त्यो रुखहरू सबै कम्बाइन गर्दाखेरि कति पैसा?
If they get to do it as it is, the clear numbers from the timber if they sell all the timber, ranges between $500 to $700 million. So we're talking about at least $500 million worth of timber.
Where do we sell this?
If the government sells it, then it goes where it goes.
6,000, no, sorry.
600,000 trees.
100,000 trees. The market value of the lumber stands at over 60 billion. कसको यो TKP हो? हो रहेछ,
Rupees
post
60
हो रहेछ.
billion. There you go.
कसको article हो? अलिकति match हो त? मलाई त्यो हेर्नु मलाई.
March 2017, Sangamle गरे रहेछ. So the valuation's gone up a lot more.
Isn't this going to be like the biggest airport in Southeast Asia or something like that?
It'll be one of the biggest in the airport if they go in the world if they go ahead as planned. But again, the question is, who's going to build it? Who's going to finance it? Who's going to use it? There's zero clarity. So I'll tell you something that I learned just in the last 1 year. It's very interesting. So in Nepal, if you say you're doing a big infrastructure project, site clearance is done before the project begins. So what I understood and what I realized in the last 12 months is the reason Nepal government keeps saying they will build the airport is because if they say they are building the airport, by law or by country's regulations, they're allowed to do site clearance. And that site clearance can be 1,000 trees, 10,000 trees, 100,000 trees. Why? Because the airport is coming. So we have to do we are allowed to do site clearance if the airport is coming. So to technicality, so they'll keep saying they'll build the airport because as long as the government says they're building the airport, they're allowed to do site clearance. And so once the site clearance is done, it doesn't matter if the airport doesn't come.
Jesus.
Because they'll probably they'll turn it into a city that's going to flood in the next 5 to 10 years. So.
South Korea flooding by that. Pakistan, South Korea.
Pakistan, the numbers is staggering, right? 33 million people affected by flood. It's like every family in Nepal. If every family in Nepal was affected by flood, it's at that scale. And we're in the same region, this is the Himalayan belt. We're all downstream of the same glaciers, of the same water towers. So it's really crazy to assume somehow we'll be immune when we have seen in the last 5 years that Nepal came natural disasters when we were completely not immune to anything. Why would we be immune? It's not like we live in a bubble. We live in a shared ecosphere. The whole world is going through this crisis. So it's crazy to dream of projects like that and destroy things that would help us be more protected when these things become worse.
Crazy, man.
If you love what we are doing, make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications.
This program is brought to you by Vyas Studios. Thank you very much for watching us on YouTube. Make sure that you also listen to us on Spotify.